Over the past 12 generations, spanning about 400 years, you needed a total of about 4,094 ancestors to come into existence. In many of your cases, you come from absolute bravery in your ancestry, tragedy, atrocities that have happened, and you come from that. No matter what age you are, you're as young and as healthy as you're ever going to be in life. So I'm having a bad day compared to what? Someone today woke up and lost the love of their life. Right when it feels unbearable, prayers can be answered in your life. But take heart, suffering is not the end of your story. Sometimes you got to tie the knot and just hold on when it feels like life's slipping away. That relationship's gone, that business is gone. Tie a knot and hold on for one more day. Look what you've already overcome in your life. Just look at you. You're freaking incredible. You don't give yourself enough credit. Now, am I saying accept everything about you that's not any good? Absolutely not. But your filter of life matters. There is a purpose to your pain. Look for it, my beautiful friend. You're a miracle. You can make a decision today to change your mindset, to work on you, to rise from the ashes of where you are. Or you can just let the world come at you some more. See, the pain of what you're going to go through to make your dreams come true is so much less than the pain you will feel if you don't. To get to the end of a life and look back on it, and it's a life unlived, a life out of fear, is a tragedy. You were born to do something great with your life. Do not end this thing by not finding out who the heck you are, what the heck you're capable of. Today is a blessing. You are a blessing. All right, welcome back to the show, everybody. So grateful you decided to join me again this week. And I just really feel like this week's going to be special. As I was preparing my message for the week, I felt really good about sharing these thoughts with you. This week is really more about perspective and focusing on how blessed we are in our lives. And we often lose track of that. We lose perspective. With all the stressors of daily life and all the things that are coming our way at any given time, whether that be what's going on in the world politically or the geopolitics going around the globe or our own financial issues or relationship strife or, uncovering trauma from our lives and emotions and all the stuff that comes, bills to pay, appointments to have, places to get, things to do, stuff you got to have an opinion on, things to worry about. We can lose perspective on how blessed we are to be here, especially during these times. This is the greatest time ever to be alive. Access to the most information. We're the most connected in some ways we've ever been through technology. You could argue in some ways personally disconnected, which I'll talk about today. But we're really blessed. You are really blessed. And just for a little while today, let's just talk about you and just give you some perspective on you and your life that maybe you need. Certainly I needed preparing for it today. Just being born in general. I mean, I know you go, all right, I know, I won the contest. No. Don't you think about this just for a second. Where you come from. You. We never do. We never really stop and think about us. Us. Those of you that go to church like I do, you have that occasional time on Sundays when you go. It's once a week or your Bible study to reflect. That's usually just one perspective, which is your relationship with God, which is the most important perspective. Obviously, if you watch my work, you know that. I feel that way. But let's just break it down to you just for a second and how much God really has blessed you. In order to be born, you needed two parents. This is where you come from. Just think this through. How miraculous it is that we got to you, that you exist. You needed two parents. You needed 4 grandparents. That means you had 8 great-grandparents, 16 great-great-grandparents, 32 third great-grandparents, 64 fourth great-grandparents. Think about that for a second. 64 people to you. 128 fifth great-grandparents, 256 sixth great-grandparents, 512 seventh great-grandparents, and 1,024 eighth great-grandparents. Is that amazing? We keep going. 2,048 ninths. Over the past 12 generations, spanning about 400 years, you needed a total of about 4,094 ancestors to come into existence. You are the result of thousands of lives, choices, and sacrifices that came before you. In many of your cases, you come from absolute bravery in your ancestry, tragedy, atrocities that have happened. And you come from that. I know you're very, very proud of maybe where you come from or your ethnicity or maybe your parents or great-grandparents. But have you ever thought about the thousands of lives that had to exist that were shaped to you? And now we're to you. This reminds us of how precious and unique just our existence is. It's a gift shaped by generations of ancestors. I want to challenge you today to just give that some thought. These thousands of people that are yours, that you've never met before, that lived lives before you, that their cell memory passed on to you. The scriptures talk about the sins of the father and the blessings moving through generations. And that no matter what's happened in your family, in this generation, you can change your bloodline forever. You can. In every family I talk about, there being the one that changes a family. I want to challenge you with these 4,000 ancestors of yours that's led to today to honor their legacy by living with purpose and gratitude, because someday someone's going to be thousands of people removed from you. You know, I've been having these dreams the last year about my granddaughter. She's not been born, and as far as I know, neither one of my kids are even close to having a baby. But I've been having these dreams about her. And I've been thinking about all the things I do every day and how that's going to impact her life. Someday she'll have a granddaughter, I imagine. And just the legacy of what I do every day, what you do every day, and how this thing is much bigger than us. We forget that, don't we? Don't we forget how much bigger this is than us? I know I do from time to time, and what a blessing it is. I was at an event recently, and it was a VIP room, and this mother had won, and she brought her, instead of her husband coming, she brought her son, who was 25 years old. And they all got to ask me a question. And he said, Mr. Mylett, if you could come back in time and talk to the 25-year-old you, now that you're almost 55 years old, I'm 53, you know, what advice would you give you at 25? And I really thought about it for a minute. And I said, you know, I'm going to tell you something very honestly. Number one, I would tell me that I'm as young and as healthy as I'll ever be in my life, more than likely, right now. And that this is the greatest time of my life. I said, you know, young man, I've been able to accumulate hundreds of millions of dollars of net worth. And I've been able to have all the material things in life you would probably ever want. You know, jets and islands and houses. And just, I've been really blessed. For a dude who started out on welfare, that's pretty cool. Alcoholic dad. You know, God's been really good to me. I said, but let me say something to you. I would give you all of that back if I could be 25 years old again. I'd give it all back to you. And I said, by the way, 10 years from now, I will be 63 years old and probably wealthier than I am now. And I would trade every dollar that I'll make between 53 and 63. I promise you, when I get to 63, I'd give all of that money back if I could go back and be 53 years old again. And I'd give you all I got right now to go back and be 25 years old again. And so time is the greatest blessing. Youth is the greatest blessing. No matter what age you are, you're as young and as healthy as you're ever going to be. And having some understanding of how incredible this moment is, that you're not one of the 80% of the people that live on earth today that don't have clean water, that you've had 3 meals today. And I know you go, that's great. I've heard this, I know I got a blanket and a place to live. No, you don't. The things that you worry about every single day, that you have made larger than life, that are stealing your joy, that seems so big in this moment, that won't matter at all 10 years from now, or on your deathbed, that won't matter at all in those moments. You let rule your life. You let become these big, huge things. When 4,000 people had to exist for just to get to you. And someday you're going to have that granddaughter or great-granddaughter that looks to your legacy. Some of them won't even ever know you. But you will have made a difference in their lives. You will have changed their bloodline forever. And to understand what a blessing it is to be alive in this moment, have a shot, have some hope, have a gift. I've had multiple friends in the last several weeks. One of my dearest friends just found out that she had melanoma, and she's found out now, most of you know this is a public thing, Teddy Mellencamp, my friend, is found out she's had melanoma for years. Well, then she's found that it spread to her brain and I've seen the images, these plum-sized tumors in her brain, 3 in one spot, 2 in another, and had them removed. And she's got this scars on her head and then fluid on and unbelievable pain. And she's got this precious family. And prior to that, she'd been going through some real things in her life. And it's just perspective on what really matters in life. So I'm having a bad day compared to what? Someone today woke up and lost the love of their life, right? Someone didn't wake up today. The Bible says in 1 Peter 5 verse 10, and that the God of all grace, who's called you to his eternal glory in Christ, after you have suffered a little while, will himself restore you and make you firm and steadfast. Life can be heavy, but if you'll just wait around long enough, it's not unbearable. Right when it feels unbearable, pain will linger and prayers can be answered in your life. But take heart, suffering is not the end of your story. Here's the truth. You're playing with house money. You can't lose. You can't lose. If you're a person of faith, you know where you're going. You know how the story ends. In the meantime, you're playing with house money. Play your hand. Not everybody gets the same hand, but you got a hand to play. And people with worse hands than you have won. You can't lose. Listen, one thing I know, when this whole game's over, as long as I get to go to heaven someday, I can't lose. He already died for me. The case has been made. I'm just running up the score. And by the way, I know how a lot of you are like, I get these messages, Ed, I'm slipping. It's like a rope. I'm slipping. It's slipping. I feel like I'm slipping. Tie a knot. Tie a knot and hold on for a while. Please. I'm serious. You don't always have to be climbing. Sometimes you got to tie the knot and just hold on when it feels like life's slipping away. This left you. That relationship's gone. That money's gone. That business is gone. Tie a knot and hold on for one more day. The power of one more is real. My book is real. Tie a knot. Hold on for one more day. Catch your breath and then start climbing again. Just don't quit for one more day. You got one more in you. I can promise you, the greatest blessing of your life is one more day. You know, when my dad got cancer, my dad was a man's man. I'll never forget. If you hear my voice, my dad had my voice, had this deep voice. And my dad got cancer and he says, hey, look, I just got to tell you, here's what's happened. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to fight it once. That's what he told me. I'm going to fight it once. I'll do the chemo thing, the surgery. I'll fight it one time. But Eddie, I'm not going on one of these, year after year. You get all shriveled up. You're getting sick, your hair, all that. I'm not doing that whole routine, but I will fight it once. And I remember saying, hey, Dad, that's fair. I actually understand that. I might not either, but I will fight it once, is what my dad said. That's not what happened. He fought it for 8 years. Multiple surgeries, multiple chemos, radiation, proton therapy, experimental chemo. And everything that he said he didn't want to have happen, happened. He did shrivel up. He was vomiting blood. He did go through times where he couldn't breathe and had to have help breathing. He did lose his hair. His skin did change. He did get lesions. And I'd go, Dad, why are you going through this? You literally said you'd only do it once, that you didn't want to go through all this suffering. And he goes, Eddie, I'm not suffering. I'm in pain, but suffering, you choose. I'm not suffering. I got to have dinner with Mom again tonight. That's not suffering. I'm in some pain. He goes, here's what I didn't know, son. Please remember this. And I'm going to share this with you. The words of a man dying of cancer. He said, here's what I didn't know, man. I get emotional telling you this. He goes, I didn't know what it would be like to actually face not having one more day with my family. Sounds good in theory. I'll fight it once, but I'm not going to. And he goes, until I realized I won't get to have another night with your mom. I won't have one more time to talk to you, my best friend. I won't talk to my daughters or see them or hug my daughters. He goes, you'll do anything to get one more day once you're threatened to not have one more day with your family. He goes, Eddie, I'll do anything. Heck, maybe I'll get to my granddaughter's weddings. Maybe I'll go see Max play golf one more time. I'll do anything to see Max play one more time. Remember my dad, showed up to one of Max's golf tournaments after a really rough treatment round. It was a very hot day. In fact, I left that day. It was so hot. My dad walked the entire 18 holes to watch my son play golf. Had just been through brutal chemo. All 18 holes, in his 70s, struggling with all of the poison in his body from the chemo. And he watched every shot all day long. I didn't. My dad did. And the reason was, he goes, I don't know if I'll ever get to see Max play golf again. I'll do anything to get to watch him play one more time. Anything to see little Jack play basketball again. Or Brett or Blake play baseball. Love to get to my daughter's wedding, my granddaughter's wedding. And so the greatest gift is one more day with your family. Don't wait around until you're threatened with not getting any more to realize that. Listen, here's the truth. You get the life you focus on. If you want a life where it's stress and worry and down and you're a victim and it's pain and it's depressing, you can get it. Just look around for it. It's there. Or you can have a life of blessing and gratitude and bliss. And I'm not saying you can't even have both, because I don't live on the side where I just get all the good. I get a little bit of both. I like the contrast. I do see pain and hurt. It was horrible when my dad passed away. It has been horrible struggling with my health this year, but I got another day. I got to wake up and see my beautiful family. I got to wake up and do this with you today. I have way more than I would ever ask for in my life. Listen, all of us are busy, and I keep hearing about tonal when it comes to fitness. I'm like, what is tonal? And then they ended up approaching the show. I have so many friends that are working with tonal because, let's be honest, we have a million things to worry about every day. Getting in a good workout should not be one of them. Enter tonal. Tonal will pick the perfect weight, track your progress, and suggest what to do based on your muscle readiness, taking the guesswork out of getting a great workout. Working hard is worth it if you're seeing results. So many people train and don't get any benefit, don't grow, don't lose the weight, don't get bigger and stronger. That's what Tonal is built for. Tonal's at-home strength training system uses adaptive weight to learn your movement and then set optimal weight for every move. It's really cool. Right now, Tonal is offering our listeners $200 off your Tonal purchase with promo code EDMYLETT. That's tonal.com and use promo code EDMYLETT for $200 off your purchase. Wow. That's tonal.com, promo code EDMYLETT for $200 off. I know a lot about this. Men have thinning hair, and when your hair's thinning, you're paranoid about it all the time. You know the other thing, inside secret, you notice all the other dudes with thinning hair. And I got to tell you something, there's a solution for it. Hair thinning's really common, by the way, but there are solutions like Nutrafol, and they're here to help you. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. See thicker, stronger, and faster-growing hair with less shedding in just like 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. Start your hair growth journey with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com, enter the promo code Mylett. Find out why 7,500 healthcare professionals and stylists all recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com. Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol with promo code Mylett. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code Mylett. By the way, look how far you've come. I'm talking to you. Look how far you've already come. Look what you've already overcome in your life. Just look at you. You're freaking incredible. You don't give yourself enough credit. Now, am I saying accept everything about you that's not any good? Absolutely not. But your filter of life matters. Have you forgotten all you've overcome already? Have you forgotten all you've been through and still standing? Maybe a little wobbled, maybe a little hurt, maybe more injured than you've ever been, maybe wounded. But you're still standing. You still got one more day. These 4,000 people's lives, generation after generation after generation after generation after generation, that sacrificed and suffered probably for you to be here. And I promise you, 20 years from now, you'll trade everything that you have 20 years from now to come back to this moment right now and to be you again and to be young. Well, however young you are, 75 years young or 15 years young, listening to this, you're as young and as healthy as you probably are ever going to be. And everything you need is within you right now to be happy and to win. You're going to get that life you see, that you filter in. There's so much for you to be blessed about. You woke up today with another breath. Thank you, God. Thank you, God, for another day. What a gift. Now, what am I going to do with it? Open up that gift. It's a present. I want you to know this. Everything you need is within you to be happy and to win. You've just got to dig it out. You've got to find it. You've got to tap into it. And you cannot tap into that when you are in victim mode. You cannot tap into that when you're licking your wounds. You tap into that when you're in gratitude, when you're in strength, when you walk boldly with your faith. Whatever your faith is, just listen to me right now. I'm going to express it through my faith, but out of respect to you, I say this to you with whatever your faith is. But in my faith as a Christian, his hands are not just holding you. They're rebuilding you. The storm you are facing will not destroy you. It will refine you. The clouds clear, they go away, the darkness eventually dissipates, and you're going to end up standing much bolder, much more steadfast, much stronger, a whole lot more confident when this thing blows over. And just know this, he's never going to let you go. You're in the palm of his hand at any time, all the time. Just hold on, tie the knot, hold on for one more day. God is working in your life. He is going to shape something beautiful out of this mess, out of your trials, out of your tribulations. Your trial is a trial. He is trying you. You say, well, why is it that we have to go through these things? All that stuff's answered later. All I know is I think it's to draw us closer to him. All I know is that other people are depending on you. There's someone out there right now who's depending on you stepping up, that needs you. Maybe it's someone in your family. Maybe it's someone in your friend circle. Maybe it's a client or a customer. Maybe it's somebody you haven't met yet and won't meet for a decade. But I can tell you, I didn't know that when I was a little boy, the lessons I was learning from my dad's alcoholism and drug addiction would somehow serve people 30 and 40 years later. God's infinite wisdom, he's holding you in this hand going, I'm going to turn this into something awesome. But you got to believe that. And you got to hold on. It's not slipping away. You're stronger than you think. This is going to rebuild you. You are going to be remade. There is a purpose to your pain. Look for it, my beautiful friend. You're a miracle, right? Isn't this cool? And right now, in a thought, you can change your life. In one decision, you can change your life. Now, a lot of people are quoting me lately on Instagram and evidently in all their memes, but you can go back 30 years ago and you will see me talking about one decision will change your life. You can go back a book 15 years ago. I'm not saying I coined the phrase or I own it, but dadgummit, I've been talking about this for a long time. You're one decision away from changing your life. Remember this, your decisions shape your destiny. Your decisions shape your destiny. You can make a whole new decision right now to see a different life, to focus on a different life, to make different decisions, to change that filter. You can make a decision today to change your mindset, to work on you, to rise from the ashes of where you are. You can make a decision that you're blessed, that you're favored, that there's a purpose to your pain. Or you can just let the world come at you some more. You can be a victim. You can just always react all the rest of your life rather than step up and start dictating the terms. You can be alone all your life, or you can be with God all the time. And by the way, all that is your awareness, because he's with you whether you realize it or not. You're in the palm of his hand anyway. What if you just started to give it up, all your worries, all your fears to him, and just started to play the game with house money? Because it ends the same way. Oh, by the way, I have news for you. You're not getting out of this alive. It ends for all of us the same way. It ends. So we know the end. What we don't know is what happens between now and then. And hopefully you do know what happens after. But in the meantime, all we have is this moment right now. The past, that does not exist. It's a figment of your imagination. You go, no, I know exactly what happened. I'm just telling you, you're not living it now. You're imagining it. You're not living it now. You may try to. As best you can, you can't live the past. And the future, that's just a wish. You know, a bunch of people woke up this morning, about 6 o'clock, had all these big, bold plans for their day. They had a big future ahead. And for some of them by noon, they were on their way to heaven. All you have is this moment. And it's a beautiful moment. It's a blessed moment. And so many people have sacrificed for you to be here today. Will you sacrifice for the next generation? Will you sacrifice for them? Will you make a difference? See, the pain of what you're going to go through to make your dreams come true is so much less than the pain you will feel if you don't. Lifelong regret, to get to the end of a life and look back on it, and it's a life unlived, a life out of fear, is a tragedy. I said this in last week's show, but I want to reiterate this to you. When you get to the end of your life, you will not regret the things you tried and failed at. You're going to regret the things that you didn't try. And I don't even think it's that. I think you'll regret that you didn't have more faith, more gratitude, and more belief. At some point in your life, you have to decide that you're going to be your own biggest fan, your own biggest supporter, that you're going to talk to yourself like you would talk to your best friend, that you're going to believe in yourself like you would believe in your children. Because you only have one you. You were born with a responsibility to start with, to take care of one human being. You're the person you were born to take care of. In fact, you really can't care in your full capacity for other people if you don't care for yourself. Do you hear me? You can't transfer to someone that which you are not really experiencing. You really can't. You could transfer a little bit, but you can't give them all of it. Your job's to take care of you. Yes, you. You were given you to take care of, to believe in, to nurture, to grow, to push, to love, to challenge, to celebrate, to laugh with, to comfort. If you don't give that to you, and you only get that through God, you can't really give it to other people in the way that you should. I'm really emotional the last few weeks about the podcast we're doing because of all the messages I get from so many of you. So many of you live with an enemy within you. You've taken the mistakes of your past and you use them as weapons against yourself. You're constantly hitting yourself over the head with this mistake or that setback or this thing. And you keep carrying these bricks with you through your life. It's almost like you want to keep reminding you of your own weaknesses, your own sins, your own mistakes. And the adversary's got you convinced that means you're not going to win. And the truth of the matter is God wants to use these mistakes, these setbacks, these things you're ashamed of, these average, ordinary things, these times you felt invisible in your life. He wants to use those somehow in the service of other people, but he can only do that if you overcome it. But when you get to the other side of it, now there's a story. Now there's a message. Your mess has a message. Your test has a testimony. Maybe you heard that before. Why don't you live it? You were born to do something great with your life. Do not end this thing by not finding out who the heck you are, what the heck you're capable of. Today is a blessing. You are a blessing. And next week, I'm going to come back. I'm going to be heavy tactics and strategies for you on, literally how to build that. But for this week, will you please step back and have some perspective on how blessed you are, how far you've come, how much you've overcome? And that ought to give you some idea of where you're going. You may not be able to see it. You might know exactly what it's going to look like or what it's going to feel like, but he's rebuilding you. This storm is not going to destroy you. In fact, eventually at one point, the wind's going to be at your back, and you better be in full speed when it happens. Because once that wind's at your back and you start knocking down barriers and you start overcoming things and you start getting momentum again in your life, I promise you, it's going to change other people's lives because you went through what you're going through right now. And when you get to that end of your life, there was this great study recently that said the top 5 regrets of the dying is the whole reason I did today's show. Let me tell you what they are. Big survey that they just did. Number 1 regret of the dying. They said, I wish I would have stayed in touch more with my friends. I've said maybe 500 times on the show that people matter and things don't, but we get so caught up in the pursuit of things, so busy in our lives. But I can tell you the biggest regrets of the dying, one of the 5, is they wish they would have stayed in touch more with their friends. Number 2 thing they regret, in no order. I wish I would have expressed how I really felt more often. So many people go through their entire lives and don't express how they really feel, the love they feel for somebody, how they're really feeling inside about themselves, how they feel about the people that they work with. They feel like they're going to see them forever, so they don't need to express that. Maybe they don't express when they don't want to do something, but they do it anyway. They agree to go to things and participate in things they don't want to do, but they're afraid to express themselves and say, no, I don't really want to do that. Or maybe they participated in so much gossip in their lives, they wish they would have just expressed, this makes me uncomfortable. I don't like this. They spent time with people they didn't really want to spend time with. They did not tell the people that they loved often enough how much they loved them and what they loved about them. Number 3 is, I wish I would have lived a life more true to myself and not lived by the expectations of others. So many people live a life in a script somebody else handed them. Maybe they didn't live by the virtues and morals that they wanted to live by. Maybe they didn't say no enough. Maybe they didn't express what their dreams and visions and goals were. You imagine getting to the end of your life and one of the 3 biggest regrets of the 5. I didn't live a life on my own terms. I let the expectations of other people guide me. By the way, expectations are limiting beliefs. The dream stealers of life. The people we held on to in our lives way too long that no longer fulfilled us, no longer brought us joy and bliss and laughter and love and happiness. The places we didn't go because our spouse didn't want to go and see it, or things we wanted to do and achieve and try that we never did because the expectations of other people were we weren't good enough, or it wasn't going to work out, or they projected their own fears and limiting beliefs onto us. But at the end of life, people wish they stayed in touch with their friends more. They wish they would have expressed themselves and how they really felt. They wish they would have lived a life on their own terms and not on the expectations of others. Number 4, I wish I would have let myself be happier. I think it's so fascinating how that was worded, let myself, because that's really what it is. Happiness is already within us at any given time. We can tap into it anytime I want. They didn't say, I just wish I was happier. That's not when someone says at the end of their life. They say, I wish I would have let myself be happier. Just let myself. Because it's always there. It lives within us. It's part of who we are. But we allow all these other things to blunt it and block it. Stress, worry, depression, fear, anxiety, stuff. Instead of just letting happiness be in our lives. At the end of your life, when you've got very few hours left, days left, don't regret that you didn't stay in contact with your friends more. People matter, things don't. Don't ever get out of this life without expressing how you really feel. Your beliefs, what you stand for, who you love, why you love them. Live a life on your own terms and not the expectations of others. Go for your dreams. Make something great happen. Let yourself experience happiness. It's your birthright. And number 5, I wish I wouldn't have worked so much. We can get really caught up in doing instead of being. And there's a nuance to life of both. Remember when my Uncle Mike passed away? He was very young. He was 48 years old. And someone got up. It was his son at the funeral. I was still pretty young myself. And my cousin said, and he loved his dad. His dad was a very hard worker. And he said, I think Daddy worked himself right into heaven. I've never forgotten that. And that was a badge of honor that he had worked so hard. And you don't want to just work all your life. Experience life. Work is one of the great things in my life. It's service. It's an expression of who I am. It's my art form. But at the same time, there's a life away from work. And I think you know that as well. Those are the 5 regrets of the dying. Now, here's the cool part. At the end of your life, I want to have you have the 5 things you're most grateful for, you're most proud of. the moments, the memories, the contribution, the people, the difference you made, the things you saw and felt and experienced. We don't have to get to the end of our lives with 5 regrets. We can get to the end of our lives with 5 things we're most proud of, 5 things we want to honor, 5 things we want to pass on to the next generation, 5 things we want to celebrate. And that's what I want at the end of my life. And it's what I want for you at the end of your life. And hopefully today's show helped you get there. All right. God bless you, everybody. I hope you shared today's episode.